Hi, I'm Dr. Ludwig Lin. Welcome. Today, I am thrilled to follow up on the social media frenzy surrounding the incredible story of the match for one specific anesthesia resident to be. Shay Taylor Allen is a fourth-year medical student at Howard University College of Medicine, where she serves as the class vice president. At Match 2026, Shay found out that she matched into Yale Anesthesiology, her first choice. Congratulations. Not only is that already an incredible feat, but her backstory is even more astonishing. Shay was born in New Haven, Connecticut, and worked at Yale Medical Center as a janitor for 10 years, helping her mother while she was ill. And she then proceeded to come back as a anesthesia resident. This is a story about perseverance and talent winning out. And I wanted to make sure that I got to share it with the anesthesiology community and world. So, Shay, thank you so much for taking the time out from your hectic post match life to speak with us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
We ask all of our guests, do you have any conflicts to share with us in terms
No,
of people sponsoring you, etc.?
no.
Okay. Well, I really want to spend this time discussing how your origin story happened and how you came to match at Yale, and your allies, your champions, your mentors, and your goals. So maybe we could just start talking.
Yeah.
Let's hear. I know that the last time I looked, 4.2 million people have actually looked at your match clip on Insta. It's probably even more on TikTok. So I know that some of our listeners probably know this, but share with us your origin story. I know that you were born at Yale Hospital, but
hmm
what like how did you grow up? Where and when? Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in New Haven, Connecticut. And I was born with just me, my mom, and my two brothers. We were born in a single family home with just my mom. And yeah, I was born at Yale. So I went to middle school there. I went to high school there. I also went to undergrad and I got my master's degree. So I'm all the way Connecticut, all the way through from when I was born. But we grew up in a regular family home, even though my mom was a single mom at the time and she raised us on our own. I didn't get the feel for that all the way. It didn't feel like anything different for me. My mom made sure that, we had the best Christmas and the best Thanksgiving, as much as she can do, right? So I think that we just grew up like any American family at that time, and I didn't notice at that time that we grew up a lot less than other people.
When you say a lot less, when did you decide that that was kind of how things were?
um, I think once I got a little older, I got to see maybe I want to say maybe around high school. I got to see that we lived a little different than others. We were on food stamps and on a state, and at that time we were kind of living between homes. Like my grandfather would let us stay there whenever we couldn't afford to. I didn't know at time we lived in a shelter. My mom didn't tell me that. So we got older. I don't remember those memories. I just remember being with my mom and my family and just didn't know that. So my mom did a lot to make sure that she didn't expose us to those things and that we kind of had the normal childhood. I just remember growing up and having friends in middle school and doing things that kids do, not knowing that my mom was struggling at the time. So like I said, it wasn't until high school that I realized, okay, we don't have the things most people have. I might not be able to get a car for high school graduation. I might not be able to get the nice dress for prom. Those things that, you start to notice once you go to high school.
She sounds like a superhero. I mean, that's a lot to go through
Now that I
as a
see now,
single
I'm like,
mom.
whoa, I cannot believe being older and the things that you didn't have, but you were able to give. It's just amazing.
That is amazing. So this was in New Haven still. You went to high school
This was
there.
in New Haven still. We lived in New Haven for most of my life. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you process that once you figured that out? I
I
guess
think
you were a
that,
teen, things are just hard anyway.
yeah. I don't think it changed much for me. I wasn't a teenager that asked for much. I think I was okay with my life at the time. I didn't need for more than what we were giving, I think. So I don't think it changed my perspective much. As I got older, I was like, okay, I want to build a different life for my future family so that we don't have those same struggles. But it only pushed me to go harder for the things that I want in life. I would say that.
Okay. That's pretty amazing as a teen. Again, I think that's a testament to your mom. And you, of course, like I think people who succeed do have this intrinsic perseverance, and you obviously have that. So you graduated from high school and then college, or then what happened?
So high school was,
Uh,
I didn't know what I wanted to do. Let's just say that. I knew that I did well in school. I knew that my mom was not taking anything less. She definitely was honest about education, making sure you do well in school, and I just did not want to disappoint her. So I did very well in school. I had no direction on what I wanted to do. And at that time, the advising at my school wasn't the best. Like we had advisors. I didn't meet my advisor until my senior year of high school. So I didn't even know her. She didn't know me. It was no personal connection. So she's kind of just giving me the, oh, yeah, you could go to community college or you could go to work type of thing. She didn't know much about me to understand or try to question the things that I like. So high school years, of course, were normal for me. It's just I did not know what I wanted to do. And when I graduated, I talked to my advisor. I'm like, what should I do? I'm doing very well in class, in school. I'm graduating top of my class. What direction should I go into? And she was like, you should either go to work or go to community college. And I'm like, well, I don't know. That's still not enough direction for me, right? Can you help me a little bit more? So I still was confused. And my mom didn't go to college. So she didn't know what to tell me. She didn't know how to fill out financial aid. I think some people don't understand that there are a lot of people in this world that don't even know how to fill, or in this country that don't know how to fill out financial aid, something that we think is so basic and so simple. My mom did not know what to do, and I didn't know what to do either. All I knew is that if I went to school, that would put her more in debt, and I just didn't want to do that to her. So I graduated not knowing what I wanted to do. I didn't apply to college. I decided that I wanted to go straight into the workforce. So that's what I did. I applied for jobs.
and what kind of a job did you end up taking?
So at first, I actually worked at Chili's. No, actually, I worked at Burger King first. That was my first job, was at Burger King, and that was actually right before I graduated high school. I was about 17, and I started off at Chili's. And the crazy thing is, not to sound like I'm the underdog in every story, but they didn't want to make me a server because they said I wasn't ready, so I had to stay in the front. And I'm just like, I want to be a server. I want to make a little more money, some tips. And they would not allow me to serve. So I said, I'm going to quit and I'm going to find a new job. So that's when I decided to apply to more jobs. And where I'm from, a lot of people usually apply to like either government jobs or to Yale because Yale gives a lot of opportunities for people who only have a high school diploma. And that was my situation. So I applied to multiple jobs within a hospital. Like I applied for food service, for janitor role, for patient transport. I was just throwing them out there until one of them catch, and that's when they called me back for the janitor role interview, or should I say, environmental services? That what we call it at Yale. And I did the interview and I got the job just that quick. So that's how I started off at Yale. It's just kind of putting in those applications. I knew I had to help out my family somehow. And it was just a job that I took in order to get some money at that time.
A paycheck is good, and
It was very good at that time, yes.
yeah. So it sounds, from what I'd be able to glean from the social media clips, that sometime during your career in environmental services at Yale, that your mom also got ill and was hospitalized at Yale. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me about the timeline. I think a lot of people are confused. when they hear my timeline, because they're like, there's no way she was a janitor while in medical school, or how old is she? She still looks so young. There's no way she spent 10 years as a janitor. Thank you to everybody who said that. But I am 32 and I did spend 10 years as a janitor before I started medical school. So the timeline is that I started off at 18 and I worked all the way up until medical school. So until I was about to turn 28. So that was about 10 years. But in between that, I did eventually apply to a 4-year college. I went to Southern Connecticut State University, and I decided that I just wanted to go to school. I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I applied for general studies at that time, so I still had no clue what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do something, and it wasn't until my sophomore year of college that my mom got sick.
Okay.
During my first year, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do. She was okay. Like, she was kind of not feeling well because 2 years prior we had a house fire and she had
Mm.
third-degree burns
Oh,
in her
wow.
lungs. Ever since then, she had like breathing issues, but we couldn't understand what it was. We thought maybe she had asthma or something like that. At that time, I knew nothing about the medical field, just
Sure.
nothing. And one day when I was in my sophomore year of college, she just woke up and was like, I cannot breathe. It feels like I'm breathing through a straw. Like, she barely could talk. And we didn't know what was going on. So we went to the emergency room, and we went to Yale, actually. And we were letting them know, like, she said, she's saying that she barely could breathe because she couldn't talk once she got there. So we were telling them, she originally said she feel like she can't breathe. And I just remember the doctor pulling me, my brother, and my aunt to the side and just like, do your mom have a history of mental illness? And I'm just like, huh? What? Like, why are you asking me this right now when we're in emergency room? She has an emergency. She can't breathe. Why are you asking me that right now? And I just knew I felt uneasy about that. Something didn't feel right for me. And ever since then, I made sure to do my research and figure out why that doctor asked me that question.
Now that you're in the medical world, do
Uh,
you have more insight into what perhaps he was trying to rule out, what he was thinking in terms of the differential diagnosis?
so now that I am in the medical world and I know that vocal cord dysfunction is not something typical, I understand that he may not have known what was going on. Um, but I'm not sure if that would have been, I guess, my first response, especially because her oxygen levels were dropping. So her numbers were saying that something was wrong. So I don't know if that would have been my first differential in emergency room, quite frankly. Um, but I can, right now, I can kind of be on both sides and say, hey, he just probably did not know what was going on. And I don't want to say as much as that he didn't care.
It's a lot of grace to give somebody. So,
Yes.
uh, did she get better?
She's 100% better. She has some therapy and she hasn't been to the hospital since.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, I think she had a few times that we went to the hospital, but because they know what's going on, that she was fine to leave.
Okay, good. So you worked at Yale during college, and I know that you also have a master's, right? So
And
you worked all through that as well?
yeah, I worked through all that as well. After Southern, I think after what happened with my mom, it wasn't until junior year that I took going to medical school seriously, because it took me about a year to kind of research, and then with everything that was going on with my mom, I just didn't have the time. So I did a little bit of research. Like, I always say the story how I went home and Googled how to become a doctor. Of course, that came later on. It wasn't like the next day of everything happening. But once I did a little research and figure out the steps that I need to take to become a doctor, it wasn't until junior year that I changed my major to biology and started to do some of the prerequisites. But I realized that my GPA was not enough because I was dealing with my mom being sick while working full time. It's just I was not paying attention enough to how my grades were in undergrad. And I didn't graduate with the best GPA or the most competitive enough GPA to apply to medical school at that time. So that's when I decided, let me go do a special master's program where I can get a better GPA and hopefully be competitive for medical school.
Good thinking. Did you have input by this point? Were you talking to advisors that helped you strategize, or did you come up with this on your own?
I kind of did it on my own for a while. I think senior year is when I had an advisor at Southern. I went to my advisor and I was like, listen, I really think I want to apply to medical school. This is my story. I told him about the story of my mom and why I wanted to do it. And he did look at my GPA at the time. My GPA was a 3.2. He looked at my GPA and was like, unfortunately, I can't write you any letters of recommendation because I don't think you're ready for it with this GPA. He didn't advise me, he didn't tell me about the postbacks and special master programs. I kind of had to look at that on my own. He kind of just like, I don't think this is for you because of how your GPA and your grades are looking. So I took that in, but something in me told me that that wasn't the last, that wasn't it for me. I don't know what told me that, but something told me that wasn't it. So I decided to go home and do more research about what I can do to either increase my GPA or, seem more competitive for medical school. And that's when I seen different things about postbacks and special master's programs and all those things. So I decided to do that.
Uh, I am so impressed that you were so resourceful and that you
I'm,
were.
I'm impressed too. Every time I talk about the story, I'm like, what was I thinking? What is going on?
I love it. So you figured out on your own that this is what you needed to do. And did you do this master's at Southern? Did you go
So I did
somewhere
that
else?
at Quinnipiac University, and it was a 2 year special master's program.
Great. And do you feel like that was a difference in terms of you getting to Harvard?
I think it helped 100%. I ended up graduated with a 4.0 at the special master's program. So I felt like at the time, like, okay, I'm showing that I'm way more competitive than I was in undergrad. And these were classes that we literally take first year of medical school, like the biologies or, any genetics classes that we had to take microbiology. So all those classes I took for my special master's program. So I'm like, okay, I'm showing that I could do these classes. So I definitely felt like it helped a lot. And it definitely helped for my first year taking those classes already.
You're like, I've done this.
Yes, it
And
felt
I
so
know I
good
can
to
do
finally
it.
I'm like, oh, okay, I just took immunology and micro and all these classes. So it definitely 100% helped a lot.
How was the application process for medical school? Did you feel like you had to convince people to take you on, or did you feel like it was pretty smooth?
Oh, no, it wasn't smooth. It wasn't. Um, I applied 2 cycles actually. So when I decided to go take MCAT, I knew nothing about the MCAT through all my research. I just thought it was an exam I took, and because I did really well in my science classes, that I can just take this exam without studying for or taking any practice tests. So I went in so blinded. I ended up getting a 498 the first time on my MCAT, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, maybe I have to go study for this thing." So the second time I took it, I actually went home, studied, and did so much better the second time. I cannot believe I even decided to go take it the first time. So once I took it the second time, okay, I was like, okay, I have more competitive MCAT score. Let me apply. I applied the first cycle, did not get in. I think maybe I don't think my application was the best. It didn't tell a story. And I noticed that later on that they love applications that kind of tell a story and tell a little more about your life besides, your numbers. And I didn't know that. The second time around, I was scrolling through Instagram and I seen this like mentorship program. So I'm like, maybe I need some mentorship. And I just signed my name and signed up for it. I didn't think anything of it. And I got a call from Dr. Gina Forster at Yale, and she called me. It was just some random day, and she was like, "Is this Shay Taylor?" And I'm like, "Yes." And she goes, "I just read your, application for this mentorship program. I can't believe you're a janitor wanting to go be a doctor. I love your story so much. I'm right here at Yale. I would love to mentor you." And I was like, yes, please. You're so excited. I'm excited. Let's do this. And she completely took my application and revamped it 100%. Truly told my story through my personal statement. And that the second cycle, I got way more interviews. And that's when I decided that I really want to go to Howard.
Wow, I love that. I mean, what a great illustration of both your grit, I want to make sure I emphasize that, but also the power of mentoring,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
because that was so key at that particular point, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
100%.
that actually makes me want to ask you more about uh, this idea I have, which is, can you think about some of the critical moments in your life and your educational life, professional life, that really made the difference in terms of how you were able to continue and take the next steps towards your ultimate goal of becoming an anesthesiologist?
Absolutely. I think so many people and things played a huge role, right? Between, even though my mom's sickness wasn't the best thing, but just her getting sick in general, if she didn't get sick, I don't know if I would have been down this path. But at that time, I was cleaning the CEO's hospital. Her name is Myrna. And I'm at her office. I'm sorry. I was cleaning the CEO's office. And she literally didn't really know me like that. I would just take out the trash sometimes and just check to make sure her bathroom was clean. But we never really spoke. I just knew I would clean her offices. And when my mom was extremely sick, I didn't know who to go to. Like, I'm just like, I need help because they keep writing it off as a mental illness. Like, who can help me during this time? And I got this bright idea to email Myrna, and I'm just letting her know who I was. I'm like, hey, I'm the janitor that cleans your office. And, my mom is going through this. They keep saying it's a mental illness. We know it's not. We had a house fire before. I think it could be from that. Like, is there any way that you can help us? And that same day, no lie, she emailed me back quick, which is crazy for a CEO to even email you back that quick. Same day, she emailed me back and was like, let me figure out what team she on and see what I can do. She never personally got back to me to say, hey, I did this or that, but we ended up getting a new team and they were just so supportive. They gave us answers that we didn't have before. And that's when she eventually got diagnosed with the vocal cord dysfunction. So even though she didn't email me back and say what she did specifically, I know just her voice alone was enough to change my mother's whole, hospital stay and disease course. So she was definitely vital in my whole journey of becoming a doctor because I got to see advocacy so quick and firsthand. And I never seen anything like that before. And I think that was the day that opened my eyes to what I can do for patients.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
What about later on? What were some of the other critical moments? I mean, now that I've heard more of your story, I'm thinking about how you got the mentor at Yale who helped you with your application.
Yeah.
And you and I were
Yes.
talking about how, I work on trying to improve people's applications. So I think that, that to me is
Mhm.
so validating. But yeah, so what about some of other moments later on?
Yeah, I mean, mentorship alone, she helped me so much with my application. She gave me so much direction. She did simple things like I didn't know how to write emails that look professional. I would email her and she'd be like, okay, we're going to change up the way you email. So it's a bit more professional. So when you're emailing certain people, they don't take it the wrong way. So just small things she helped me with that I didn't know before starting this professional career, right? So I think mentorship is definitely key in how I got here. And I always give it up to her 100%. Like she has helped so much. And that's why I'm so keen on mentorship. And I think that it's what we need, no matter what background you come from, in order to make it through medical school. So I definitely say mentorship was big for me.
What made you decide that you were going to become an anesthesiologist?
So weirdly, I didn't find out till later on that I like anesthesia. And like so many students, I think we don't hear too much about it first and second year. It's not something I was able to rotate or know have know a preceptor or anything like that. So I didn't know too much about anesthesia. I didn't know that this will be a career that I would eventually love. It wasn't until third year of medical school, and we were doing rotations. Of course, we had surgery that we had to do, and I was in a case, and I seen the anesthesiologist kind of in the bag, just relaxing, chill. Now I don't want to say relaxing because I think that we always get that that bad image that we're just relaxing, right? Our jobs are hard. But I seen an anesthesiologist, and they're the only ones that spoke to me when I went into the OR. And that was one of my first times in the OR. And I was so scared, and I was shaking, and I'm just like, I don't want to, break still filled. I'm scared to just move an inch, and I don't know how to glove up. I don't know how to do anything. And I was just this baby medical student that was just so afraid of the OR because of the things that I've heard. And yeah, the anesthesiologist is the first one that came out to me, said hello to me, asked me my name, and introduced himself as well. And that simple thing was enough for me to be like, okay, who are you? And can I learn a little more why you're so nice to me right now? So I decided to shadow at Howard, and I did shadow one of the anesthesiologists, and we got to talk a little bit more. And I got to learn a little bit more about, their day-to-day life, the lifestyle outside of anesthesia, and just why this career role is so important to patients. And I think the biggest thing that I learned is that they give comfort before the surgery, as well as being an advocate for patients where they don't have anybody during a surgery, right? We advocate so much for patients. And I knew I wanted to do that because the reason why I went to medical school in the first place was for advocacy.
I love that. And I completely agree with you. When I was a medical student at UCSF, I couldn't believe that the anesthesia attendings were so nice and they were so excited about their jobs. And
Yes.
this one man, I'm going to give him a shout out, Dr. John Feiner. He was so excited to talk about pulmonary physiology with me. And I thought, who are you? You are attending. You don't talk to medical
Right.
students. So that was fascinating to me. And I remember doing my sub-I for anesthesia, and at UCSF, you as the anesthesia person start the IV, and I was so deathly afraid of this because which student knows how to do IV? So I would distract the patients by talking to them, and I had this one patient burst into tears because they were so nervous about going under, and I thought, wow, this is a really powerful role, right? And when you want to be that patient advocate, it's a
Exactly.
powerful
And
place.
I think we're not taught enough about that in medical school because patients put so much trust in us during their most vulnerable moments. They put so much trust in anesthesia that we're going to speak up for them and we're going to keep them safe. Just simple things that I see anesthesia do, like if, a patient is has to, have their clothes off before surgery, we make sure that they have a blanket on them and they're not exposed. Just something so simple to make sure that they're safe and not exposed during that moment is just amazing. I know I did an OB-GYN rotation where we got to take the picture as soon as the baby come out. They trust us with taking a picture of the child. And it's so many moments that may just seem so small, but it just made me fall in love with anesthesia in another way because I always thought you don't connect with your patients when you do anesthesia, but there's so many ways that you can. And I think I love that even more. And I also want to change the image that people have about anesthesiologists. I think they believe that we don't talk to our patients much. We just put them to sleep. But I'm a person who loves to talk to patients, and I want to show them another side that no, we love to talk to you. We can get to know you before your surgery, even if it's really, really quick. I want you to feel safe and just know that I have your best interests in heart. And I think that I can change that image a little bit.
I love it. I completely agree with you. We can have such a powerful role in that
Yeah.
really scary moment for every single patient. So let me
Exactly.
ask you a little bit more about you and anesthesiology. I feel like anesthesiology is such a great combination
Mm-hmm.
of uh, brain knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
physiology,
Yes.
pharmacology,
Mm-hmm.
physiology of every type, but you also use your hands a lot,
Yes.
right? All kinds of procedures, regional anesthesia. Do you have anesthesiology, a idea of which ones of those things you really enjoy?
I'm not sure yet. I think
That's exciting.
yeah, it's so hard. I think because I'm, of course, starting intern year and I only did a few away rotations before I applied. It's hard for me to kind of toggle or try to see what I like the most. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I think I like a little bit of everything right now. And hopefully, my PGY 1 year, I could kind of figure out what I like the most.
Mhm.
But I'm not 100% sure yet. I did
I
love my OB anesthesia rotation a lot, and that was dear to me at the time. But yeah, I'm kind of open to everything right now.
Great. I think that's exciting. You talking about aware rotations reminds me to ask you more about the process of applying and matching because that's such a gatekeeper, to be honest, for people getting into a specialty.
Yeah.
And let's admit it, anesthesiology is competitive to get into. Can you think of who? I mean, you don't have to give me names, but the types of people in your medical school journey who wound up being your champions, your allies, your mentors, who helped to get you to where you wanted to be, or
Yeah.
maybe you didn't even know you wanted to be there. Let's talk more about that.
Yeah, so we don't have a home program at Howard. So I didn't get a lot of opportunities to work with too many anesthesiologists there. But there were other people who helped me that weren't even in the anesthesia at all. Specifically, Dr. Michael, she's in internal medicine, and she helped me so much with just getting research in anesthesiology before I decided to apply. I had I had some research background, but none was in anesthesiology, which I don't think that they kind of care too much about when you do apply. But I did want to show that I had a lot of interest in anesthesia and show that interest in the research because I do love doing research as well. So she helped a lot with that aspect of my application, as well as helping me with filling out my application and things that I didn't know that you had to do for ERAS. ERAS alone is a lot. And just letting me know about when to apply for VISLO and knowing to apply early. Those are the small things that most people don't know. So she definitely played a huge role in when I was applying and when I was doing my away rotations. So I can thank her a lot for that.
Anesthesiology, that's what it takes. How did you find Dr. Michael?
So she's at Howard, and I actually worked with her during my internal medicine rotation. And I just remember she's a little small woman coming up to me and was like, "Do you want to do research?" I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, "I have so many projects, and let's figure this out." And she even allowed me to start a project on my own where I wrote the whole paper. So she's worked with me on so many projects that I've done, and she's just been so great on my journey.
Wow, I love
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Really, that's what it takes. It takes somebody who just kind of opens that door for you,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like I said, we didn't have a home program, so I didn't have a huge anesthesia community until I did my away rotations, and I met more people at the away rotations that I was at that gave me a little more insight on how anesthesia was and how to apply. But before that, I just didn't have a huge anesthesia program. But it shows that you can still make it in even if you decide later on in medical school that you want to do it.
Yeah. This makes me uh, want to ask you a question about anesthesiology. Not a diss on Howard for not having a home
Mhm.
anesthesia program, but do you have thoughts about ways you wish the institutions that you've been a part of uh, could have done more to help a young person grow and to understand what the possibilities are and how to achieve their
Absolutely.
goals. And it's not limited to medical school. We could be talking about high school. We could be talking about university. Is this something that you've thought about?
Of course, all the time actually, because I always try to think of what I can do in the future for students. But I just wish these institutions invest earlier in their time and commitment to students who traditionally don't see themselves in medicine. Um,
Anesthesiology.
I had to kind of figure everything out on my own. And I just wish I had those people behind me that I went to help for, I went to them for help, but I just wish they invested a little earlier in my career goals. And even though they couldn't visually see it because they looked at my grades, tried to help out a little more, right? So even if it starts before college, right? I know Yale does a thing where we go to high schools and we talk to students about anesthesia and if they could see themselves in these careers. So maybe investment a little earlier on and just show these students the life that they can have. Especially, a lot of students don't know kind of like the journey that they have to go to even get into medical school. They don't know every single thing. They don't know all the exams that they have to take. They don't know how much it's going to cost financially. A lot of these students don't know how to apply for financial aid, how to get loans, and just how much of a financial barrier applying to medical school is. So I just wish that we invested a little more. We can teach these students a little more earlier on and help them throughout this journey for sure.
Right. I'm thinking about that as you're talking about it, and I'm thinking about your journey through it and how you found these things on your own. And that takes so many extra levels of anesthesiology motivation and persistence. I mean, you were really stubborn. You were like, I'm going to find out what's out there. And sometimes, people are just trying to stay afloat, right? I mean,
Yes.
you probably had a lot of moments where you were just trying to like make it through the day. So, I mean, how does that even happen?
I can't even tell you. I was talking to my husband about it the other day, just because we was reflecting on my journey after doing all these interviews. And sometimes when I answer questions, I bring up things that I forgot I even have done before because we were asking, digging deeper into my journey. And
Right.
I'm just like, I can't believe at 22 years old, I thought to email the CEO. I can't believe at this age, I just was like, okay, you told me I can't get into medical school. I'm just going to move on to the next thing that I can do. I can't understand what was kind of going through my head um, throughout all that whole process. But I think for me, the journey was more personal. And I think for students, if they want to go through this journey, especially students who don't come from money or doctors in their family, you have to make this journey personal. It can't be because you want to be rich one day, right? Because there's so many other things I always say that you can do to get rich faster or, become rich other than becoming a doctor. This journey had to be personal for me to keep going. And it was. I knew I had a mission and I knew I wanted to complete it because of what my mom went through. And then once it becomes personal, then nothing can stop you.
I love that. Nothing is going to stop you. That's for sure, Shay. So, I have so many more questions, but I think what I really want to ask you is, anesthesiology. I guess it's difficult for me to try to figure out how to word it, but they talk a lot about how you can't be what you don't see, and I sort of feel like the way you went through the healthcare system
Yeah.
is so different. So you worked in environmental services, you worked as a janitor, so you saw you saw these residents, these medical students, nurses, doctors running around constantly. So you were part of that world. So you saw it. And I suppose I'm going to ask you to try to, go back to that period in your life. Did did you look at those people and think, oh yeah, I'm going to be one of them one day? Or did you just think, oh, that's part of the world that I wasn't meant to be a part of? Like how was that? And did your viewpoint change? Talk us through that.
I think it was the latter. Even though I was working around, doctors, nurses,
Anesthesiology.
I couldn't imagine myself in that position, right? There was kind of this
Anesthesiology.
this wall between the different career choices. So a lot of times I didn't get to interact with the doctors and the nurses and like we just didn't have that interaction. they wouldn't even know my name half the time, to tell you the truth. So I couldn't see myself there because I didn't have anybody that I felt like cared enough about my position in the hospital. And they could have, right? I didn't feel that at the time because I didn't. Nobody really spoke to me enough to make me understand that they did, or they did respect the position that I was in. So no, I didn't see that for myself. I just seen them in their role, and I see myself in my role, and I could never visualize myself in the role at the time. It actually took many years, even though I was going through the journey. It took many years to see myself as a doctor. I think to this day, some people still, some people say Dr. Taylor Allen. I'm just like, whoa, hold up. I don't know if I'm there yet. Stop. I don't know. So, no, I couldn't see myself in that position. And I think that's why when I go back to Yale, I definitely plan on kind of bridging that communication and that janitors or other roles like food service and patient transport might have or might not have with doctors or nurses, or between even nurses and doctors. And I hope I can be that bridge to show that we all kind of work in the hospital together, and we all have our important roles.
I want to come back to that because I think that one's really important and really interesting because you have both perspectives. Before we leave this topic, though, I want to explore just a little bit more.
Mhm.
So you didn't really see yourself being part of the, like doctors and nurses world. So what flipped that switch for you? Or maybe it wasn't flipping a switch. Like how did that either evolution or revolution happen?
I think once I had my mentor, when she came into my life, she kind of spoke life into me all the time and reminded me every day that I belonged here. And
Which mentor is this? Can you
this
just
is Dr. Gina Foster.
got it?
Yes. She knew from the beginning. She was like, "You're going to be a doctor one day. I see it. I feel it. I know it." And that was the person who spoke it.
Anesthesiology. Very cool.
Yeah.
But it took somebody else to point that out to you,
Yeah.
right? So I sort of feel like, wow, is everybody going to, hey, you go for it because
Okay.
you made it. It's yeah, you are allowed that. But I guess I really want to think about this a little bit more, like sort of like as we were talking, because you are stubborn and you were going to make it, but you didn't quite know what that was going to be.
Yeah.
So you really needed a champion and somebody who believed in you and say, this is what you're going to do, right? So
Absolutely. Um, like I said, she seen it way before I did. Even though I knew I wanted to go down this road and go down this journey of becoming a doctor, I still could not visualize it because I did not grow up in a town where you see too many people that look like me in white coats. Like you just, even when you went to Yale, you didn't see too many of us at all. I actually grew up with, I didn't have a black doctor. So um I could not visually see it. I know I wanted it. I knew it was personal to me. I knew I wanted to be the doctor my mom didn't have, but I could not visually see myself in that white coat. And it wasn't until she came into my life and was like, there is no way you will be anything other than that I got to see it a little more. And she's the reason why I even started to tell my story, is because I wasn't even going to put in the application I was a janitor. And she was like, this is part of your story. This is who you are. And she just seen it from the beginning. And I needed somebody who spoke that life into me because I never had it before.
I'm so glad that you're talking about her because this needs to inspire all of us to do that
Yes.
for somebody, you know?
Yes.
So let's get back to the goal you have of bridging that communication gap
Hmm.
between the various people who work in the hospital. And I agree with you. You know, I think we're all so busy trying to do our jobs
Yeah.
well. And I know that I'll be walking down the OR hallway and I'm obsessed with trying to walk as fast as I can to get
Yes.
back to my anesthesia cart so that I could draw up the stuff for the next case and get ready. And I see other people there, So I see, for example, environmental service people, and I always try to make sure I say hi and smile and say thanks.
Yeah.
But we're all in our own worlds. So do you have any memories of how you kind of wished people talked to people in EVS or
Yeah.
other people who work in the hospital, and how could we all make it, a better place without taking up, too much bandwidth, I guess.
No, and I completely understand that. Being on the other side, I know it's like, especially if you just did an overnight shift or, you had a long, sometimes we have more than 12-hour days. Like, I completely get that we are all in our own world. Sometimes we have emergencies where we can't think of the person next to us. So I completely understand that now that I'm on the other side. I guess for me, I just wish, even if you don't speak first, if I say hi to you, just a general hi, how are you, would have been enough for me during that time to feel like I was seen, and not just somebody that was there to pick up your trash, or if they asked me to go clean up something that a patient spilled, or even they spilled, just the, hi, how are you? Would you mind cleaning this up? Instead of giving that demand firsthand, because I think EVS is what keeps the hospital doors open, and I think they deserve that same respect that we would give other positions in the hospital. So I only imagine, talk to the janitor that like you would talk to the CEO. That's what I would say. I don't think you go to CEO and just make your demands without speaking first. So I think if anybody can get anything from this story is treat the janitor the same way you would the CEO. And I think that would go a long way. Just something simple and small. I'm not telling anyone to go out their way, but just allow them to be seen.
Be seen. I think that's a good theme. And also, to me, I think a lot about empathy in the medical world. And that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Shining that light on everybody and acknowledging that they're there and they're seen. I
Yeah,
think
and I can only imagine.
goal.
That's it's going to change the whole hospital aspect. I'm only one person, but I'm just saying I can only imagine if somebody feels super important in their job, how much of a difference that can make, right? If I'm EVS and I know I'm one of the most important people in that hospital, I am going to clean that floor like nobody ever seen it clean before, right? I'm coming in every day like, yes, I have a calling. This is what I'm here for. I'm keeping those hospital doors open. I can only imagine what difference that can truly make in a hospital. And it only takes one person at a time. That's how I feel. But yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I have a question for you about your childhood neighborhood. Do you keep in touch with any of them? I'm curious about how they feel about you coming back home.
Oh, my whole city is just so excited. I
Oh,
got
good.
so much support from everyone, between people that I grew up with and even people that are still in EVS. I still have friends that are on their doing the EVS role. So I I'm excited to go back. They're excited to have me back, and I plan to go, of course, before I start, visit all of them that are still working there, and they played a huge role in why I'm here as well. Like, allow me to sometimes take an extra 10 minutes on my break to study. Like, small things like that help. So everybody played an amazing role in this journey. So I can't wait to see them all.
That is very exciting. Uh, well, congratulations. I
Thank
can't
you.
say that enough, really. And I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for Yale Anesthesiology. It's a
Thank
great
you.
department,
Yeah.
and you are going to be so valuable as a member. So, that's all amazing. I want to wrap this up, but I also want to make sure that you get to say everything to our audience that you wanted to say. So, is there anything we have not talked about today that you really want to make sure that our audience hears?
I think the biggest thing that I want to leave everybody with is that, as you can tell from my story, as cliche as this sounds, is that the sky is the limit, right? Um, Failure is okay as long as you try. I failed many times on this journey, as you can see, before I got where I needed to be. But it was something I needed to learn from my journey. And it's something that I wouldn't take back. So even if you fail, whether you're a young person trying to figure out what you want to do in your life, or you're somewhere in your career where you might want to change, it's okay to try. It's okay to fail. but just keep trying, because if you don't know what you can make out of it. So I hope my story motivates others and show that no matter where you start, all that matters is where you finish.
You are right, and you are nowhere close to being done yet.
Right,
So
right.
I
Only the beginning.
exactly. So I, as a person in your field, I am going to look forward to everything that you're going to accomplish, and I am so pleased that we had a chance to talk today,
Thank
and I'm so proud that we get to help share your story, to amplify it, and to shout out all the champions and allies that helped you get there, because it takes a village. I mean, it takes somebody very talented in the middle of that village, but it takes a village to get you there. And
you.
you're there, and you're going back to
Yes.
your village. And I just think that it's the best story ever. So thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
taking the
much.
time.
Of
And I'd like to thank our
course.
audience for
Thank
listening. This is Dr. Lin and Shay Taylor Allen, and just a great conversation. So thanks, everybody.